Hi, it is my first official podcast episode. It's Serena Crafts. Hi, Serena present. Um, I have done another video, so a flock haul, but today will be like the standard knitting podcast where I talk about what I'm wearing, any recently finished objects, my work in progress, and any acquisitions. So I can just get right into it with what I'm wearing, which is the Sabai top by Suzanne Mueller, and I made it in Sandnesgarn Line in the color Putty, which I do like quite a lot. I know that this has been a very popular pattern on knitting like YouTube and Instagram, and for good reason. I think it's super versatile, and it being in like a summer yarn, the Line is like a cotton linen and I think viscose blend, which is super perfect for hot climates and just summer in general. So I'm very pleased with it, and I think I would make it again in another color. So I picked I guess the last thing I'll say about it is I picked the one with the rib edges in along the side here, because there is also an option for just like a raw edge that kind of rolls over, and I liked the ribbing a little more. I think it just added like an extra layer of detail that I was looking for. But if I ever wanted to, I also have the option because they both came in the same pattern. So very happy about that. And I'll go into finished objects. I think I'll start with the one I'm most excited for, and that is the Lakes Cardigan by Ozetta. I absolutely love and adore this so much. As soon as she posted that she was writing this pattern and like doing the test for it, I was already scouring every corner of the internet to try to find this yarn, because I swear it is, or at least was, sold out quite literally everywhere. So it is the Noro Madara in the colorway Sake, and it's just like a light gray color with a ton of like speckling in it, and it kind of just like reminds me of like a painter's apron in the best way possible. And then she held it with an alpaca yarn, and I used one that I think was like a little bit cheaper. It's Lana Grossa cool wool lace in like a light gray color that you honestly cannot even see, but just to meet gauge. I think that was helpful. And then she used like tortoise shell buttons, so I also in fact used tortoise shell buttons, because in original thought I have not. I just wanted to recreate exactly what she made. And I feel like I kind of ate with that because I love it. I'm obsessed. I will include a video because I'm sure that this isn't like the greatest representation of like how it actually fits, but I'll talk a little bit about the construction, mostly just the fact that it's my first saddle shoulder. So you have the saddles at the top, I guess is what they're called, and then it just goes straight into the sleeve, which I think is quite lovely. And then she included a little tip where you can make the saddles and then measure that, block it, measure it as your gauge swatch. And if you meet gauge, you can work right off of it, which I think is quite a time saver, yarn saver, all of the above. So when I make my next saddle shoulder, I will be sure to do that again. Honestly, I already have one in my queue, and it's the Lakes Pullover, also by Ozetta, because I have worsted weight yarn in stash for quite some time that I've been eager to make something with, and I couldn't figure out what. And I do fear that would be the perfect project. Next finished object is yet another cardigan. I'm in quite a cardigan kick lately, and I do have more on my to-do list. This is a crochet cardigan. It's the Eternal Seasons cardigan by Jewel Makes, and I've actually tested like I want to say like 3 projects for her. This was not a test, but because I tested those, I knew that I liked her like writing style and patterns quite a lot, and I want to say, at least based on her Instagram and like reposts, that this is like her most like well-known, if not like one of, then the most like well-known pattern that she has. Well-known, well-loved, all of the above. All pretty much all of hers, this one included, is like made to measure. So you measure your bust, and then she tells you like you can use any yarn, any gauge, any hook that you want, and then she kind of gives you the instructions for that. So without going into too much detail, just know that it's quite versatile. So if you have any like yarn that you want to get out of stash, her patterns are a great option for that. And that was, in fact, the reason to make this. This is Boba. I think he was in my last video for a short cameo, but here he is. He's my big boy. Not much more to say about like the actual pattern. I think it's a really good layering piece, and it'll be perfect for like office days when it's a little warmer outside, but quite chilly in the office. Hi, buddy. The yarn that I used was the K&C Cloudpaca in the color Toasted Almond. And I have very mixed reviews about this yarn. However, I'll give a brief summary of those views, but it really doesn't matter because this was a Joanne exclusive. And as we all know, Joanne is no longer with us, unfortunately. May she remain forever in our hearts. Miss her oh so dearly. Please pour one out for the girl, Joanne. But this is basically like Drops Air. So if you ever wanted to try this and you couldn't, just use Drops Air. And I think you'll get a very similar like product from it. 4 out of 5 of these balls of yarn were like very, I'm scared he's gonna hit my mic, so sorry about that if he does. We're like very much like what you'd expect, maybe a factory knot here and there, not the end of the world. Obviously we don't love that, but it's not gonna make or break my experience or the product. However, one of them was like quite literally the scraps of every other ball of yarn, I'm convinced, because shit you not, it had like 50 factory knots to the point where I was just going around the arms, so like a very short circumference, and I would have a factory knot in like every single row. It was driving me crazy, so I just jumped ship from that ball of yarn, and I clearly have leftovers, so I just joined a new ball because I was worried about a few things. My sanity, first and foremost, but like the integrity of the project to have that many breaks in the yarn. And then yet again, my sanity, because I would have to weave in so many ends if I kept going with that. And I just knew that that was not my journey in this project. So yeah, I don't know if I could recommend this, but I don't know that it matters. So take that with a grain of salt. Next, going with my works in progress, I'll start with this one here. And it is the clay sweater, also by Ozetta. These are the only two like patterns I have of hers, but I do like them. They're both very well written. Like I have not been confused about a single thing, which like might say a lot because I do begin confused. But here it is so far. I've connected front and back, and I'm just going in the round now, which tends to be like the bane of my existence. Not in this pattern specifically, but in everyone. Like once I get too stuck in it in the round, this in the round, I get very bored. Like a lot of people talk about Sleeve Island. I don't care. At that point, I'm like excited to be done. I'm already 80% of the way done with the project. I just want to keep going. But the body is like what gets me every single time. So that is the case right now in its current state. And I will persevere. And I am so brave and so strong. And I will be okay. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't getting bored. I am using, now that I've gotten off of that tangent, the Barocco Ultra Alpaca in the color Buckwheat, which is apparently undyed yarn, and it's just like 3 different colors that are applied together. I do not know if you will be able to see that, but I will include a photo. And I think it just gives it some really cool dimension while still reading very neutral. I do fear that I love her sample photo color way more than this, but this has been in stash for like 2 years with not a plan in sight. So I was ready to get it out of stash, and I did, if my calculations were correct, need 5 balls of yarn, and I have 5. However, I just started the third, and this is how far I am, so I'm a little scared that I'm gonna run out. But it's like $18 for 100 grams at Wool & Co. So if I need to, if I'm like really close, I'm just gonna undo my gauge swatch and use that, or I can always order a new one. One of them, when I actually first order it, was a different dye lot, which like, it says it's an undyed yarn, so why are there dye lots? I don't get it. If you know, like, please actually tell me. I do not know the answer to that, and I'm genuinely curious, but they look the same. So I'm not like too worried about if I have to order another one. I feel like it will also look the same. And if it's a little bit off, I could just use it on like the ribbing details, sleeves, cuffs, etc. So it will be fine. My next work in progress, he just wants snuggles, is the Anchor Summer Shirt by Petite Knit. Here is where I am, again, on Body Island. I'm so bored, but it's really cute so far, and I do like it. It is very like beginner friendly. Like if this is your first garment, honestly, slay the house down. You can make this. I am using Tin Line by Sandnes Garn, held double. I do recommend just holding Line single for it, because that would meet gauge. And then I don't know if this is like a one-off, but the Tin Line is like way more splitty. Like my needles are getting stuck in it way more than I remember with this top. So I kind of like Line more, but there might be more colors of Tin Line. So pros and cons. But the color, they do have like word names and then corresponding numbers. So on here it just has the number, and it's 8561, which is quite a lovely color. And I do think it would look pretty on every single skin tone. So if my opinion matters to you, you should get this because you would look gorgeous. But yeah, same like composition of this. It's going to be really good in the summer. Excited to get it done, but not so excited that I'm working on it with like ferocity by any means. This is just going with me in the car when I'm like riding Passenger Princess, and I will get it done eventually. And I'm not too worried about it because I know it's a summer object, and like some of you are probably like, oh my gosh, you're not going to get to wear it this summer. Fear not, because it is hot here until like November. So I'm quite certain I'll get to wear it at least once by the end of the season. And now, acquisitions. Sorry, Bobby. I'm so sorry. I did get some yarn. So I'll start with Ruby and Roses. I just got one of these. It was on sale. It is called Cottage Core, and it is a fingering weight yarn in merino and nylon. And I figured I could make socks with it or use it for like a colorwork project. I just really like the color, and it was on sale, so that is kind of my weakness. And then I got a couple of these to make a short sleeve tee. This is her Rose DK, which is the same like merino and nylon, but in the DK weight, obviously, in the color Storyteller. And this is like kind of crazy for me, like, whooshy, I know. But I loved the swatch. I love her like sample with this color. It is quite gorgeous. So she posted a sample, and it wasn't in this, but it was like one of her like tonal, like kind of like a royal blue. Okay, I think that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But I like the actual like tee quite a bit, and I would like to make it in this. So this is quite inspiring to me right now, having some more color. So that might be a new cast on coming up. What also might be a new cast on is a boring color, but not a boring project in my opinion. It's the Kelborn Woolen Scout in Hazelnut Heather, and it's a light DK. It definitely has some dimension to it. I don't know if that'll pick up on camera, but it's not just like a completely solid like mid-tone brown. There is some dimension to it, which I always think is kind of fun. And I was between making the Lana Vest by Irene Lynn and the Moby Slipover for my first like official cable project. I've done like a little cable swatch, and like again, I kind of ate with that, like to be so for real. But I'm still scared because a swatch does not make a good project always. So I bought both patterns to make sure, like look them over, see what would work the best. And I do think that the Moby Slipover is like a teens less intimidating. So I'm gonna start with that. But I will eventually also make the Irene Lynn vest because I do love that. And she served with that. So that's coming up in the future. I probably won't do like 2 back-to-back cable vests because that seems excessive, but I will make that one later in probably a cream color to match her sample. I think my last acquisition is this here Maker's Tote by Delique, and I love it. I better because she made me like take out a second mortgage on her, but she is everything. She is the moment. It has a side zipper here. I do already have the project bags. I don't know if it was like in frame when I took out my Inker summer shirt, but I have these in like, she has different sets, and I think I got the large and extra large. I got the bigger ones. Perfect. Love them. Already wish I had more. I've been wanting this bag for like months and stopping myself, and then I saw them in my local yarn store and I could not wait any longer. I needed it. I don't regret it. It's amazing. It's like very roomy on the inside. It has these collapsible and removable, maybe, cubes. And then like a little hanger keychain thing in here with scissors, if you can see that. It has the snap enclosures at the top, so your yarn is not getting snagged in zippers, which has happened to me before. Quite devastating. So I no longer have to worry about that. She's already like well traveled. She's been to restaurants, coffee shops, doctor's office lobbies. Like, she's seen some places, and I just love her. I love her so much already. Like, I know I've said that, but I truly, if you've been thinking about this, I recommend. Although, caveat, there are some like solid color ones that don't come with the cubbies. I did not care about the cubbies, but the solid color ones are like, I think $40 cheaper. So if you like a solid color, but you were like, this is $40 too expensive, you should just get that one. However, this color did in fact have a chokehold on me, and I might have paid the $40 for this color. I know, not very fiscally responsible, but what's done is done. And I do not have anything else to say about that. Oh, I guess kind of a work in progress. I don't know, it's not like an actual like knitting or crocheting project, but I'll show all these. I have another basket that's like halfway full. I am stash busting with a absolute crap ton of these pom-poms. I'm just using like the Clover pom-pom maker, super easy. Wrap it around a ton and then you cut it. So easy, could not be easier. I had a ton of like scratchy acrylic and cotton yarn that I was not vibing with, and I thought that it would be really cute. I'm just like touching all these to like string up and hang from my market booth, and I think that it would obviously fit the aesthetic with the yarn pom-poms with the yarn crafts. So we have been making these while we watch movies after dinner for quite a few days. So I can definitely show the final product of that once we string it up. I think it'll be really fun and colorful. So I also wanted to mention that in case you had a bunch of crappy, squeaky, itchy yarn that you don't want to just get rid of and you want to make something fun out of. So that's it for knitting crochet yarn content. If you do want to hear like some personal interests, I know like Study Knits does that at the end. I figured I would do that for a few minutes. And if not, thanks so much for watching up until here, and I'll catch you in the next one. But if you do want to hear, it's basically just media related because most of my free time is, in fact, consuming media, which is probably not good for like brain development. But if I'm being honest, that is facts. So we did just finish Dexter Resurrections. The original Dexter was like very formative to me in my development as a person. I watched it in high school and was like completely obsessed. This was like the best show I've ever watched. It's still one of the best shows I've ever watched. So I do highly, highly, highly recommend. And then I gave it a good rewatch in college. Because if I don't watch a show for like 2 years, I pretty much forget things other than like the core memory, like crazy details. And I can like watch it fresh, which is, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it is what it is. And I rewatched it in college. And then last year, my fiance said that he had never seen it. And that's like a cardinal sin in this house. So we did watch it all last year. And then we watched Dexter New Blood. And then did not really get into Original Sin. I don't know. I gave it like a few episodes and it was okay. It wasn't bad, but I feel like there was a lot of callbacks to the original show and we had just watched it. So I don't know. I was like, I already know this. Like, I got it. It actually is fresh in my mind because it has been less than a year. So all good on that. And then Resurrections came out and it was truly incredible. Love it. Please go watch it. You will not regret it. What else? He is unfortunately convincing me to watch like Marvel movies, which I have like sporadically watched here and there when they come out, but have very much not kept up with like the shows and any recent movies whatsoever. And he's been wanting to watch them. But unfortunately, you can't just like pick up and watch one. Like you have to watch 14 seasons and YouTube videos and be on the Reddits, I feel like, to understand what the heck's happening. That is an exaggeration, but like barely. So we went back and like are watching Avengers, and I don't know, he's probably gonna convince me to watch some of the shows and other movies. We will see. I don't know. I just don't like movies as a time commitment. This is gonna, I don't know if anyone's gonna relate to this, but like committing to watching like 2.5 hour long movies, plural, sounds crazy to me. But I did watch all 15 seasons of Supernatural that each have like 20 plus episodes of 45-minute episodes. Like that is so much of a commitment, and yet that was like perfectly reasonable and okay for me. It's just different. Like I feel like you could stop a show at any point and then resume, but I feel like if you put on a movie, like you're usually going to finish it. So it feels different in my heart. All that to say, we might be watching Avengers. We are one in, so TBD. But that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much. I will be back in like 2 to 3 weeks to show progress and any new cast ons and certainly acquisitions. Okay, bye.